Alright, today I'm going to walk you through the PSET3. So if you have already finished the PSET3 and have no problem, so it's okay for you to skip this part, okay? So let's firstly jump to the first task, the number cool list. So if you observe this tower of the expressions, can you tell me what patterns do you observe? Like for example, how many lines do you get if you include the number n, and how many numbers do you get in each line? What things can you find? What's the pattern of this picture? So in this picture, you can find, if you input the number into this method, you will have the numbers of the lines, right? And in each line, firstly, you will find there are several spaces. And after the spaces, here is the first number, and times 8 equal, and then the third number, and equal, and 9, and the next number. Right. So here's a question. So what do we do? Can we generate these patterns? Following the thinking of top down bottom, so we can break down this big problem to several small problems. Firstly, we can consider how do we get the number of the lines. Like if we input 3, we'll get 3 lines, and if we input 9, we'll get 3 lines. So in fact, if we input the number n to the method, how many lines do we get? So we'll get n lines, right? And so in the nested loop and of the outer loop, we can know how many lines can we have. We use this outer loop to get the number of the line. And in each line, we will firstly solve the problem of the number of the spaces. So here is a table listed the number of the line and how many spaces in this line before the number. So can someone tell me how do we generate the number of each line? Yep, correct. So we can use the number of 9, which is the input of the number, to reduce the number of the 9 to get the number of the spaces. And next, we are going to solve the problem of how to get the first number. So anyone know how to get the first number of each line? Yeah, plus the next line, the number of the next line, right? The question is how to get the first number. What is the first number? We know how to get the second number based on the first number, and the question is how do we define what is the first number?
So you take, if you call the first number j, I guess, so for every new line, you multiply it by 10, and then add the line number.
Yep, correct. And what is the initial value of the j?
It should start at 0.
Yep, great. And here comes another question. That is, if you write int j equals 0, right? This initial value of j, this expression should be included in the loop or outside the loop. Can someone tell me? Yeah, please.
Inside the loop.
Can you explain a little bit about the reason?
Because if it's outside the loop, then it doesn't use that value in the for loop, right? And also because you're initializing it there, then it's only running within the loop, so you don't want to have it outside.
Let me specify a little bit of this question. For example, if we have the nested loop and start with this, imagine this is the outer loop, and we have an inner loop of, like, for example, the each 9, and should this the initial value of the j inside this loop or outside this loop? Pardon?
Like we want to make sure the scope of the digit is like full.
Yep.
So
Inside this one or this one?
the one that uses
Here? Here?
which one uses J?
We'll use j here inside this loop. But where should we initial the value of j? Here? Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit why I ask this question. In fact, if you want to initialize the value of j, it should be here. Why? It's because if you initialize the value of j here, and each time we run this loop, it will jump to the initial value again. So you will always start with j equals 0. But in fact, we want to firstly j equals 0, and next time the j is the first number, the first of the 9, and then when it comes to the second loop, it should be the first number of the second line, right? So this number should be changed. So the initial value of the j we can't put the initial value of j here. We should put it over here. So this is a mistake that people usually make when they firstly write this kind of program. So the next part is pretty simple. We times the first number 8 and we put the plus over there. It's not difficult, and we plus the third number, and the third number I believe that every one of you can figure out is the number of the 9, right? And we plus the equal, and we get the last number. So the last number is just based on the calculation before, right? And in this assignment, we have a small requirement that we hope you can use no more than 5 semicolons in the method that you create to solve this problem. So here is a solution that when you print out the strings, you can use the plus, so you can use less semicolons. And in fact, the least number of semicolons you can use in this program is 4. And you can have a try when you are finishing this program. So is there any problem of this number coolest? Yeah, please.
So in between the nested loops, you're defining an integer that's like the first in the string on each line?
Yep. And any other problems? So if no, we will come to the second task. So in this task, we are going to draw a rocket like this one. So as the first problem, we are going to use the approach of top-down decomposition. Can somebody tell me how many parts can this picture be decomposed as? 4 parts, and what are them?
So I'll say the top.
The triangle.
And then the line.
Yep. Second
and
part.
You have the midsection marking, which can be broken down into 2.
Yep. Correct. You are directly jump to the. Yep, this one. So we already know that we can decompose it as the 4 parts, like the top triangle and the twin peak, and then the inverse twin peak and the line. So is there any problem of this task? Because it's in fact not very difficult to figure out how to solve this problem.
So after you decompose these things into multiple small parts and we did on top-down decompositions, like the student just said, we can define a triangle, connector, twin peak, inverse twin peak, all these things. All you need to basically implement, other than the main method and the John Rocket method, you basically need to implement 4 methods. Can you go to the next slide? Yes, and one more up first. Yes. So basically, for example, for this twin peak, all the main focus for you, if you want to draw these things, you need to again observe the patterns on each line. For example, this is the twin peak of the rocket with a scale 3. So you need to observe, okay, there are exactly 3 lines, and for each line there are certain dots and slash, backslash, and some more dots. You need to again map the loop number to the pattern, to the target patterns, so that you can use for loops to write down to generate this twin peak. And similarly, you will need to do things like others. Okay, so this is basically an assignment for you to get familiar with not only the top-down decomposition, but also how you use for loop to map the loop number to the target patterns.
Yeah, thank you, Chao. And another thing is that if you look at this one, you can even decompose it as the repeated part. And I will leave this to you to observe it to get the result. Okay. Again, any question about this part? So the next task is the cafe wall, and again, can someone tell me how to decompose this picture? We have the grid and we have the row. So how can we decompose this picture into smaller parts?
So there's the top left corner,
Mm-hmm.
the row, the alternating parts of the larger squares,
Mm-hmm.
the grid on the bottom left, the middle, and
Yep. Can we divide it into even smaller unit?
so the top left would be its own, and then the single string of the larger units. And then, well, you can do it line by line because for the different sizes, and then decompose it even smaller to a block of the black and white.
Yep, correct. Yeah. So the smallest unit is the pair of the black one and the white one. Yep. And we use the pairs to compose the line, the row, and we use the row to compose this kind of grid. And here is something that you need to pay attention. Is like you will need to pay attention to the coordinates of the lower left color, which is the coordinate x and y. And this is different from the, like, for example, if you want to draw a square, the coordinate of xy is in fact in the center of the square. Yep. So this is the part that you need to pay attention to. And we have in total 4 variables, which is the first 2 are the coordinates of the square of the row and the pairs, the number of the pairs and the size of each small square. So it's the when we draw the grid is pretty much like the way we draw the row. Like we need to pay attention to the coordinates of the xy, and we need to know the pairs of the box and the size of each box. And one more thing is that, like we look at this one, each line starts with the same distance, and this one it has the offset. In fact, here are two solutions. First one is that you can like for example, compose these two as a unit. So you can repeat these two rows each time to get this grid. Yep. And for this one, you don't need to care about the offset. So you just do repeat the times of the number of the rows.
But another way, basically these two, like we said, we have offset. So basically this one is here, and this one shift a little bit, and this one shift back, right? So we have an offset here. And this one, it can be seen as like a special case about offset with zero, right? All these things, there's no offset are zeros. So we remember in the class, we talked about how to, why we want to use a parameterized method. So basically we want to specify the offset so that we can reuse the same method to draw different grids with or without certain offset. So this is the way, even though these two seems a little bit different, the one with offset and the one with not offset, and this one with a even larger offset, basically it's just depending on the size of these offsets between different rows.
Yep. And here is one more thing that so many students ask, how do we import the
First delete that.
Yep. How do we import the STD draw into the project? So you can open when you are creating a project, you can find under the source and the package, you click and choose import and choose the file system. And find the directory where you put the STD draw is, and open it. And choose the STD draw in Java here. Finish. And now you can find it under the directory of your project. So then you can import the STD draw in your project. You import the Java alt color and use this class. So is there any problem of the third task?
Where do you download the STD draw?
All right. On the class 2 page of CPSEC112. Assignments.
Basically, you go to the class, the schedule page of this class, and there's a standard draw. But usually, if you left-click that, it will typically just give you a new page showing all these Java files. So in order to download that, you right-click standard draw, and click Save Link As, and then you can download, pick it wherever you want to download it to.
So any other questions?
Could you return to the slide where you looked at the parameters of the grid?
Mm-hmm.
Parameters. One more. I believe all these parameters are, this is a general table. So all these things are, I think, they are specified in the assignment page.
Mhm.
We just basically list it separately so that you can have a better understanding or visualization about what is size of it. Otherwise, basically, usually when you write a Java method, you are given a list of parameters, and sometimes it's hard to understand what they are used for. But basically, trying to draw some grid by yourself on the paper, try to get a little exercise, and you will say, okay, we basically need the coordinates, the pairs of black-white box, and the size of each box, and also the offset. Basically, these are all these parameters are useful.
Oh, and plus one thing that I want to say is when I was in the office hour, I often meet this kind of situation is that students come to ask me how to start to solve the problem in the program because they don't know where to start. In fact, I will say that when you going to solve the problem of the solve one problem by programming, it's better that you don't firstly think of it in Java. You can treat it as a problem in mathematics or the problem of your life. So you try to think how do you use the top-down, bottom thinking to break it down into some smaller parts. And secondly, you can write like for example in English or simple notes of each step how you are going to solve this problem. And then after you know the overall solution of this problem, you start to write it in Java language. So this will help you to think how to solve the problem. But if you are not very familiar with programming and you start with just directly write in Java to solve this problem, it will make me feel a little bit difficult to solve the problem. So one more time, any other questions? And if not, we are going to come to the end of this walkthrough. Okay.
Just what kind of clarify what you just said, like with your writing.
For example, if we are going to print something in this step, you don't need to write system print output blah blah blah. You can just write print x. You just know the meaning of it. This will help you to figure out the solution of the problem firstly. After you have already know the solution, then you write it in Java. Yeah, this will help you to think. And sometimes you can even draw some figures. For example, you can think if x equals 5, and if yes, if no, else, it will come to blah 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 blah. You can draw some small figures or take some notes to help you thinking. But I will suggest you to firstly figure out the solution of the problem, then write it in the programming language. It's better than you think of part and then write a part and think of another part and write another part. So it's better to firstly come out with the overall solution and then write it in the programming language. And any other questions? Okay. Yep. We will upload it. We will upload the slides and the video after this walkthrough. Yeah. Okay. If there's any other there is no any other questions. So, thank you for coming. This walkthrough is over. Thank you.